Happy Sunday, everyone. I hope you all had a great week and will have another great week. We are on chapter 9 of Harry Potter. We are annotating Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone if you're in different parts of the country. Sorry, different parts of the world. My bad. This was called the Midnight Duel. So if you don't know, the purpose of me doing this series is not to give a shout out to a certain author, but to really show running themes that she's had throughout the book, especially from her bigoted views, okay? Because we cannot separate the art from the artist, and I want to make that clear. Anyway, I have my notes here. So in this, this is when they have their flying lesson, which then led to Harry joining the Quidditch team, and we have Harry and Malfoy meeting up to have a duel, or supposed to have a duel. So first of all, let's remember that although they're in their first year at Hogwarts, this is around 6th, 7th grade, right? Maybe even 5th grade. These kids are vicious. Now, I remember when I was their age, there was quite a lot of bullying. They are really, really mean. Like, especially, obviously not all of the Slytherin are mean, but it's definitely, there's definitely been a huge, theme throughout the books that Slytherin, specifically in the books and the movies, right, that those that are in Slytherin are mean. They're kind of like, come off as like they're better than everyone. Gryffindor is more heroic and sit back and listen. If I remember correctly, Hufflepuff was more of the book nerd. Like they are smart, but they're like quieter, and similar with Ravenclaw. I forgot why I apologize. I forgot the exact stuff, but that's not important to what we're talking about. Anyway, so, not only in this book, right, specifically in book 1, but we see that these kids can really be mean to each other, and it's not just in our last video, right, in chapter 8, we talked about Snape, right? We've seen other professors kind of have their favorites, and pick at certain children. I think it's important to remember that it's not just kids, it can be also teachers. And there's really no stance on bullying in this school, let alone in real life, right? So, I will give JK some credit there, because that really does happen. Obviously, we're not having duels, right? But there have definitely been physical fights, which, yeah. I do want to make note, because if you follow me on adoption content, I will say that Harry Potter has I would say an interesting perspective on kinship adoption. So first of all, I want to say that as someone who educates on adoption, kinship is used as the number one goal according to the Declaration of Human Rights, which was put out by the United Nations. However, in this aspect, right, because it was his aunt and uncle, his only surviving family, they were not safe people. He should never have been placed with them. Now I understand why Dumbledore and McGonagall did it, but they should never have had custody of him. However, in this chapter, and I want to again make this was really kind of well done, in my opinion. Harry found out that he was really great at Quidditch, something that he didn't know. He doesn't know the truth about his parents. He doesn't know, other than what they looked like, he really didn't know about them, right, Lily and James? But he will later find out how good his father, James, was at Quidditch. And as someone who's an adoptee who has learned that, like, oh yeah, like, it kind of, like, runs in the family, right? So, with creativity, for my family at least, we're all creative in some way, right? Whereas my adoptive parents, as much as my mom loves art, is not as creative in some ways. She wants to be, and she has a little bit of a jealous shake on that, but it's not the same, right? There's just these little things that we kind of take for advantage of when you're not adopted, right? Like, oh yeah, that's just kind of like how our family is, or you have that genetic mirroring, you know your family's history. Even with kinship adoptions, unless it's done correctly, right? And again, I say unless done correctly, it can be just as bad as private infant adoption. If you're not telling the truth to the child, if you're not treating them right, like Harry was not treated well at all, we can see the implications and the trauma. Now, I will say, I will give props to JK on not making him a villain. She also doesn't give him a ton of trauma in his personality or his responses. So again, I give credit there, but that's what a lot of authors or a lot of TV shows do. Continuing on, there was a point where the twins were congratulating Harry on making it into the Quidditch team. He was the youngest in like a century to be on the Quidditch team, because usually first years are not allowed. And they're about to go explore a specific tunnel, a tunnel that they said if it's the one that they know about, then it's not a big deal because they use it all the time. But this will again come into the future when they eventually give Harry the Marauders map. So again, as an author, as a writer, I will say that JK does a really good job in setting up certain things, right? And having these symbolism. Speaking of which, we have Fluffy, who we're going to meet at the end of the chapter, when they're running away from Argus Filch, right, and Norris, and they end up where Fluffy is, the three-headed dog, who is standing on top of the trapdoor. And that's when Harry links, this is where whatever that package was, this is where it's being hidden, right? Sorry about that interruption. My kiddo was asking about our own dog. So if you don't know, Fluffy is a three-headed dog. The three-headed dog is known as Cerebus. Cerebus was the guardian of the underworld in Greek and I believe also Roman mythology. And as we see in Harry Potter, he is standing on top of what will go down and so forth. He's being used as a guard. Again, this is going to come back into play in the future of this book, but just do want to link that symbolism as well. And also, we have to think about, where did this dog come from? Right? Again, we'll find out in the future, but when we link all of these symbolisms in, right? Knowing Hagrid and his, he has Fang, and then he gets Norbert, he has Fluffy, he had that giant spider in the second one. It's just, whoever knew him really knew his love of animals, specifically very weird animals. Also, he had Buckbeak in the future. So we have to remember those things that JK, again, does a really good job. Now, in terms of her bigotry coming through, I will say it's not as much in this chapter. We definitely have Malfoy being mean. I would say in Malfoy's character arc overall, Malfoy is going to be the bigot, right? Malfoy is going to be what we see as the Nazi, right? He is the son of a Death Eater. And then he joins later on, right? But just his attitude, just the way that he was treating everyone, right? He is away from his father. So let's remember that even if you were raised by Nazis, you can absolutely change. I know it's hard to decolonize, debunk all that stuff, but we can see it even very much within, while while Draco's at school, he very much still embodies that characteristic of being on top, being, I'm better than everyone. He goes on to call Hermione a filthy mudblood. He says horrible things about Ron Weasley, all these horrible things, right? And I want to say mudblood is a slur in this book, but not an actual word, so want to keep in mind. And he's pure blood, as he calls himself, right? And I want to make this comparison, especially to what's happening, in the last 5 years in our country. I'm in America, but granted, this was written in the 90s. People still use that term, I'm pure blood, as if to be anti-vaccine or to seem like they're pure in their Christianity. It's very much a term from Nazi Germany, when people that were not seen as different, right? Not Romani, not Jewish, not pagan, not black, not LGBTQ, right? They were the embodiment of what Hitler saw or went with, right? As, hey, I'm better than you. You deserve to be either unalived or used as labor. Let's remember that. So even though Ronald Weasley has a long wizarding line of, wizarding blood, right? He's still seen as less than because they stand up against these pure bloods, as we call them. And that, again, still goes to the same thing, right? I've even seen recently with Christianity, right? Those that are speaking out against certain things happening, those that are speaking against, different types of bigotry, like transphobia and homophobia and, xenophobia. I'm trying to think of what else. Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, etc. tend to seen as less than those that are very bigoted. Even though the Bible says, don't judge, right? Like, let's remember that. And the same thing can be also said for Judaism, right? We have the Zionist Jewish community and the anti-Zionist Jewish community. And I think it's important to remember that just because you're Jewish doesn't mean you have to be Zionist or not Zionist. That doesn't make you less than. You know, we have the anti-Zionist Jewish community that's saying, like, hey, everything that Zionism is, which, by the way, is political, not about the actual religion, it has a little bit into the religion, but let's just be clear, you don't have to be Jewish to be Zionist, so I want to make that distinction. They're saying, like, hey, this goes against, you know, our actual beliefs, and they're saying, like, no, if you speak out against Zionism, then you're not really Jewish, right? So again, it's treating them as less than, which, again, this is internalized anti-Semitism, right? And it's still extremely harmful. It's the dehumanization. It's the hiding behind your religion to say that you're better than someone. It's the hiding behind your ethnicity or your race or your sexual orientation, your gender, whatever it may be. Even if you're part of a marginalized community, it's that hiding behind to say that you're better than someone. And I want to make it clear that my stance, okay, and hopefully those that are supporting and watching and loving on me, and I thank you guys very much, know that I am all for humanity. All must be free or none are free, right? We have to keep doing that. So free Palestine, free Sudan, free Congo, free Armenia, free Libya, free Eritrea. I know they're going through a lot right now. Free Ukraine, etc. Okay, like, let's remember that. So anyway, I hope you all tune in for next week's annotation. It's going to be Harry Potter. I'm going to have a different setup, okay? It's going to be fun. It's going to be Halloween-y, which is right in time, by the way, right in time for this next chapter, which is kind of funny that happened. Wasn't intentional, just it's going to happen. Anyway, I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you next Sunday.